Welcome to the Lea County Open Mic Podcast, and we're here with Jacque Mulkey, and going to talk with her about the topic of early intervention. Jacque is with Mecca and very involved with work with kids. Jacque, I'll begin by asking, what does early intervention mean?
So early intervention means that we are catching babies premature all the way to 3 years old that could need some extra support in their development. If they're premature, if they have autism, Down syndrome, if they're not speaking properly, if they're not eating with a fork properly, if they're not walking, it's a broad spectrum of help. We focus on giving children 0 to 3 years old, and it means that we're there to support their development and make sure that by the time they reach 5, they're ready for kindergarten.
Yeah. See, I had not known any of that.
Well, we work with children of all ages. My program specializes in 0 to 3 years old, but we can go all the way up to 21. So we just want to focus on the children of Lea County and making sure that they are as developed and mentally and physically prepared for school as they can be.
Well, that certainly sounds like a worthwhile endeavor. What qualifies a child for early intervention?
Anything really. If they are born anywhere from 34 weeks or less, if they are not speaking properly, if they're not walking properly, if they have Down syndrome, if they have autism, even if there could be absolutely nothing wrong with them whatsoever, but maybe we get a referral in from, say, CYFD, and they need a little extra family help. That qualifies them as well. So anybody can make a referral, and every child in Lea County, as long as they're 0 to 3, are eligible as long as we have some sort of issue we need to work on with them, whether it be family therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, you name it. If it's a therapy and we can do it, it qualifies them.
Okay. As a follow-up to that, how would a parent or a guardian contact you? What's the process?
So anybody can make a referral to Mecca, anybody. A doctor, a mom, a sister, a brother. You can either go to our website at meccatherapies.com and fill out our online form, or you can call up to our office, which is 575-964-9500, and you can say, I'm interested in enrolling my child in Mecca. Can you please come do an evaluation? And me and another evaluator will come out with our tools and our special booklets and handouts and toys, and we'll play with baby. And if they show any kind of delay, then I can start therapy. So it's easy. Anybody can make a referral.
I would imagine that the costs for such therapies related to early intervention vary. Is there any? Can you give us any range of what it costs?
Our program is 100% free. We charge 0 money. If baby is 0 to 3, 0 money. If it's 3 and up, then we bill Medicaid or insurance. But our 0 to 3 FIT program is 100% free. And they do say that, children's development from the time they are born until 5 years old are the most important stages of their life because their brains are growing rapidly. And so the state of New Mexico offers this program for free, so we can really hit those important milestones before they reach 5 years old. That way anybody can have services, anybody.
Okay. Yeah, and you hear about in a better world, all kids start at an even starting point. Of course, in reality, sometimes with economic variations, some kids do not get to start at the
same level
starting line.
That's where me and my therapist come in. I myself, I'm a developmental specialist too. For the state of New Mexico, I'm able to do evaluations. I am able to provide therapy on any level. I can do everything from physical therapy to occupational therapy to speech therapy. A developmental specialist, I like to call us a jack of all trades and a master of none, because we are trained to give therapy in every category, but we're not a master in any of them. So we're kind of like the nurses of the doctor world, the therapy world. We're like the nurses of the therapy world.
Okay. Coming off that, where did you start? How did you get involved with this?
I fell into it completely by accident. I had just finished my bachelor's degree in psychology, and I was picking my kids up from school one day, and I was just flipping through Indeed online, and it said Mecca Therapies is hiring, and I clicked click, and here I am 3 years later.
Wow.
So I fell into it completely by accident, and I did not know anything about what they did or what they do now. I knew absolutely zero about it. So I just kind of fell into it, and I really like it here. I was originally going to be a clinical psychologist. I was working on my master's, and I wanted to specialize in PTSD, working with vets. And then I fell into early intervention, and I changed my mind. I decided I wanted to help them early instead of fix their problems later.
Okay. Given that, what did you have to do to qualify for your role as a therapist, as an interventionist?
So I started out as a lead coordinator. I was not a developmental specialist yet. I was lead coordinator. Well, then in my job title, they stated that I needed to be able to handle all caseloads that came across my desk. If a therapist was out, I needed to be able to fill their spot. So I had to go through the state, and I had to do a whole bunch of training and some online classes through UNM, and then I had to submit an application to the ECCD here in New Mexico, and I passed, and they sent me my developmental specialist license, and that was about it.
And you said 4 years is what you've been doing this. You have that right? Three
Yep.
years. Tell us about, if you can, some of the kids that you've worked with. Who stands out?
Well, every child is 110% different. You're never going to have one case that is the same. I had a little boy that was just lost. He needed lots of help. And I had to do some serious research on how to help him. And it took me, I don't know, probably 6 months to a year before I was even able to make a dent in any kind of progress with him. And about the year mark, I went to do his reevaluation, and he came back where he had been delayed across everything. He came back with no delays whatsoever. That was a proud moment for me. That was one of my first do not requalifies. But it was also a big learning curve for me, because this was a difficult one. It was a really difficult one. So I had to really put in the man hours and all the dirty time, which requires sitting on the floor. You know, kids are not always gentle or well behaved, so you can experience anything from biting, hitting, kicking, spitting, pulling hair to loves, cuddles, and snuggles. So this one, it went from being very violent to very loving, and it made me really happy. I can't mention any names.
Right.
Sorry.
That's fine. I think that most people just want a representation of what's possible.
A lot is possible. I have seen children almost 3 years old not walking yet, and I go in, and this is another good one for me. 2 months later, I had that baby walking and running and playing. I got some help from my physical therapists at Mecca. They gave me some strategies. I went in and I worked with baby and up and going in 2 months, and that made me super happy too. I was really proud of that one. That one was a difficult case too. So every child, all right, so let me backtrack a little bit. If your baby is born premature, they have a higher risk of having a major delay later on, whether it be at 2 years old, 3 years old, 10 years old. There's that risk of having a delay in there. So I will say, the earlier you can get them into early intervention, the better. That gives us time to work with them while their brains are forming rapidly. We teach them all kinds of new things, everything from languages to how to eat with a spoon, to crawling, to washing your hair, to brushing your teeth, all real quick if baby is young enough. The harder cases are the ones that you get in late in the game, and they're already kind of stubborn and set in their ways, and mom does things a certain way, they don't like change. Those are the harder cases. So the earlier you can get them into early intervention, the better.
Good.
I would think that your own experience as a mother is probably very helpful too with dealing one-on-one, especially with these children.
It is. When, just like all new moms, when I started out, I didn't know nothing about nothing. I was winging it. I didn't know anything. And I had to fake it till I make it, pretty much, being a mom. And now my kids are all older. One's fixed to be 18. I've got one that's fixed to be 15 and one that's fixed to be 14. So they're all pretty much getting ready to fly the coop. But when they were younger, this program didn't exist. So I just had to kind of fake it till I make it, and it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot. It taught me patience, one, because you do need a lot of patience in this job. It taught me how to tailor what I'm doing to a specific child. And then it taught me the basics, like how to be a good person and all that stuff. But it definitely helped shape my career today, because there's sometimes I can walk into a house and I'm like, oh, I know what that is. I went through that, so that's an easy fix. But then there's the harder cases where my kids didn't go through that, so I don't know what to do in that situation, and I got to do my research, and I got to talk to my other therapists, and I got to come up with strategies. So I would say, yes, it did help, but not enough to make me great at my job, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Well, let's move a little bit forward here. How do you see the future? What do you think, with your knowledge and experience, where are you going to take this?
For me personally, or for Lea County?
Yes, for you personally, and that can tie into the county as the whole.
So I do work this entire county. I work Jacque, I work Eunice, Lovington, Hobbs, Tatum. I work this whole county. We do have other offices around the state, but my ultimate goal personally would be to be able to be that person that is able to go to every county that we work in, and have my influence on that county, because I know what I can do here, and I've seen my work I can do here, and I think I'm doing a great job. I haven't had any complaints, so I guess I'm doing at least an okay job, right? I want to be able to take it to other counties and share my knowledge to the new developmental specialists. I'm currently I am assistant director now as well. So I don't just handle the in-field work. I handle all office work, all paperwork, all caseloads. I can do everything from way up here to way down here. And my goal would be able to travel to all the counties and teach the new people how to do that stuff. Because the more you know, the more you know. And in this job, you have to know more in order to do more. And I hate to say it, but some of our therapists are just kind of trained and thrown out there. And it's hard keeping them, because when they come in fresh and new and they don't know a whole lot, it's stressful and very overwhelming. And making that difference, or if they don't feel like they can handle this position, they run, they quit. Constantly having to change happen all over the state.
What about parents? Are the parents involved much in early intervention?
Oh, yes.
Or do you Can they sometimes be problematic to deal with?
Oh, of course, everybody can be problematic to deal with, myself included. I can be problematic, so can you. Everybody can be. But it is our goal as early intervention. We only go into the homes an hour a week. So when we are in home, it is our job to teach mom how to do what we are doing so she can continue to work on it with baby while we're not there. So yeah, it's our job to teach those parents how to do what we do. We're working directly with the child through play, but we're showing mom how to play with that baby through play and teach them. And yeah, you get some of those difficult parents out there that are like, there's nothing wrong with my kid. I don't even know why you're here. And I'm like, well, I'm here because your kid can't say one word and he's 3 years old. So that's why I'm here. And it can get rocky. It can get rough. But for the most part, it's not. You have 99% of those parents out there wants what's best for their child. They're like, okay, he's not saying any words. Come help me. Show me how to do this. Teach me sign language and teach me flashcards. How do you do this? How do you incorporate bubbles into your play to make them say please more and help? So that's what I go in there and I do. And 99% of the time it goes on without a hitch. However, you get that 1% sometimes that just turn out to be difficult. But I've found ways of maneuvering around that to still be able to help that child. Is it more difficult? Most definitely. But I've found ways to kind of finagle my way around it. And that's another issue that a lot of our therapists face is once they are faced with that parent conflict, it spooks a lot of them. And they're like, I'm just here for the kid. No, that's not true. You're not just there for the kid. You're there to teach mom and or dad or grandparents how to do this for that child. So if you're going to be spooked by a mom getting a little bit of attitude, we're going to have to talk.
So that leads me to sort of an off-the-wall question. How often do you actually find grandparents in the guardianship role for kids that need early intervention?
I would say at least 2 out of every 5 referrals. So about a quarter of our families the grandparents are taking care of babies. And those ones can be difficult as well because as we get older, it's hard for us to chase after our kids. It's hard for us to get down on the floor and play or get out there on the trampoline and teach them how to jump. It gets harder as you get older. And so a lot of the times what we see is those grandparents just kind of sitting back and trying to let them learn on their own. And that in itself can be problematic because if they're learning on their own and they don't have as much guidance as some of the other children, then that's when things kind of tend to float off into space and you got to reel it back in. And that can be difficult. Now, the grandparents always want to help. They do 110% care. It's just harder for them to get up and do the chasing and the playing and the everything.
Okay. So, and that's another interesting aspect. How do you incorporate play into the learning process, or in the developmental process?
So, everybody, not just children, but everybody, they learn through watching and observing. That was how our primordial ancestors learned. They learned through observation. Children are the same way. We show a baby how to blow bubbles, and then they want to turn. We make them sign please, or we make them sign more. We show them the word first, then we teach them the word. And so first they show it, then they speak it. And it's all about modeling that behavior, showing them how to do it, and then reinforcing how to do it. And that is how you incorporate everything into teaching for a child. I can take Play-Doh. Play-Doh is one of my favorite things to use for children of all ages because it is so versatile. I can take Play-Doh into a 6-month-old baby's house and put it down on the floor, flatten it out, have baby touch it, and say simple words like push, or more, or please, or pull, anything. You can teach a child just about anything with Play-Doh, including how to eat out of a spoon, because it's sticky. So you have to have an open mind. You have to be willing to think outside the box a little bit and show them what you want them to do. It's all about observational learning. You can turn I could turn this water bottle into a sensory item right now, and a child with autism or sensory issues will love it. You have to be able to think outside the box. You have to be able to model that behavior, and then you have to be able to reinforce that behavior. So just about anything can be taught through play. I think I kind of went off topic there. I'm sorry.
Do you think, is there any difference with children who need early intervention in regard to going to public school or being homeschooled?
Yes. So we teach everything too, including social skills. In the public school system, I hate to say this, but especially in this county, in the public school system, you're going to learn more social skills than you are academic skills. And so if you want your child to be on point both socially, emotionally, and academically, your early intervention is key. Because we don't just come in and teach them, how to sign language and how to talk and walk. We also teach them academic skills, counting, shapes, numbers, colors, writing. We do all of that as well. And early intervention is key, especially in those children that are going to public school, to gain those academic skills versus the social skills. Now, for those children that are homeschooled, early intervention is key for social and emotional skills versus academic skills. So it's versatile for either way. If you want to homeschool your child, I can help them with social emotional. If you want to send your child to public school, I can help them academically. It's very versatile. And it works for everybody. You just have to catch it early.
Are you funded by the state, basically?
Yes.
And are there some challenges related to getting the funding? Does it sometimes seem that there's not enough or could be more, or maybe that's always the case?
That's always the case. There could always be more funding. We could always use more toys, more Play-Doh, more bubbles, more resources. We could always use that. But we do know that, and so we gotta kind of, but they do a good job of it.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
Well, one thing I was going to ask, but I think you've answered it, is what are the goals of early intervention? But I mean, my understanding is that just to help kids develop, and succeed and become good citizens.
Yeah. I was teaching before I started with Mecca. I was teaching at Highland Junior High, and I was working with older kids. And I can honestly say that if a lot of those children would have had early intervention, they would not have had the issues that they had then. I am a firm believer in early intervention. I know that a lot can be either fixed and or taught from the ages premature, 0, all the way up to 3 years old, and even past that. We do have our outpatient clinic here and our autism program that goes from, our autism program goes from 3 all the way to 21, and our outpatient clinic goes from 3, all the way to 21. And even those children, even if they're not in my program, my age range, if they're going to the autism clinic, or if they're going to the outpatient clinic, doing speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, social emotional help, anything like that, it's going to make a big difference when they reach full-blown adulthood. Because let's face it, being an adult is not easy. And so the more we can prep our children for it now and teach them the proper social emotional skills, proper academic skills, proper coping behavior, the better off they're going to be as an adult.
Yeah, I would think that really the years from 1 through 5 at the most are what I've heard called the formative years.
Yep.
And that's one reason why this is so important, I think. To the earlier you can be a positive influence, the more that's going to be felt long term.
Yes, that's right. And it is, I would suggest every parent, even if you think there's absolutely nothing wrong with your child, it's never going to hurt to have them screened just to make sure. Because a lot of the parents, they don't They don't want to be told how to parent. And that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to tell them how to be a parent. We're here to show them how we do what we do so they can implement that into their own parenting style. And so if a parent, even if you think there's nothing wrong with your child, it never hurts to have them screened. And then, if it does come back that baby has a delay in any given area, then we can come in and we can work with them and we can fix it and make their childhood and school life easier. So, I don't want people thinking that we come in to like judge your parenting style or to tell you, oh, you're doing this wrong, because that's not what we do at all. We're there to help. We're there to like maybe show you new techniques to implement that can help in the long run.
All right. Now, you mentioned that the job comes with a lot of stress, but it's inherent within the job that new therapists tend to burn out.
Yep.
If they're not properly trained. How do you cope with the stress?
I like to read. I like to paint. I like to do epoxy. I like to cuddle with my puppies. And I like to sit out on my porch and watch the sunset. Those are my coping mechanisms. During the day, from 8 a.m. to 5, sometimes 6, I'm all business. But after 6, if I don't have to, I'm not going to answer my phone for anybody because it blows up all day long. So if I answer my phone after 6, I like you, okay? So from 6 at night till 6:30 in the morning, I do whatever I feel like doing in that time frame. I read a book, I watch TV, I cuddle my puppies, I play with my kids. Well, I don't play with my kids anymore now. We just kind of bicker back and forth. We sit on the porch and we hang out. We take drives. It's all about balance. If you can't learn to walk away from work and leave work at work and you take it home with you, you're going to burn out very, very quickly. When you walk out that door at 5 o'clock, you got to leave it there at the door at 5 o'clock. When you walk in your door at 5:30, after you get done picking up your kids or buying groceries or whatever you got to do after that, from that point forward, it is all about you, your self-care, and your time.
Well, I think this is a good start here. Appreciate your time. I don't think I have any more questions. Do you?
No, I don't have any more questions, but I feel like I've learned a whole lot from what Jacque has told me about the challenges and the rewards. And really, too, I'm thinking of you're helping parents where parenting, especially parenting of young children, ought to be enjoyable.
The thing is,
ought to be a happy, come with a degree of happiness. And if they're worried all the time or feeling burdened,
it takes away from our experience as a mother and as a father, as grandparents. When we come in, we should be happy to be like, oh my goodness, my kid did this today. Not, oh my goodness, I have to teach them how to eat with a fork today. There's a difference. And every parent should have that positive experience.
Yeah, I think especially young parents, single parents, have extreme challenges in that regard of being able to assess where their children are in terms of how they're growing and developing. And if you have a kid who's 16, 17 years old, they're not even mature enough to assess their own needs.
That's right.
I think you're probably, when you see situations like that just adds to that challenge.
Yeah. There have been times where I see older children, and from where I sit, I can't do anything about it because that's not my program.
Right.
But I can tell parents, hey, I have this program, and I have this program, and I have our home visiting program, all in which can help you help them or help them directly. And that's where the knowledge, community knowledge comes into play. The more the community knows about this program and all of MECA's programs, or any early intervention program, period, the more the community knows about that, the better off the children of Lea County and the state of New Mexico are going to be, period.
Great.
And I don't feel like enough people know about this. There's a lot of people out there that they don't even know what early intervention is.
I know that there's a lot of people who don't know that.
Yep.
We, at our church, there are about 4 children who are developmentally disabled,
Okay.
in one degree or another. And I'm not sure what support they're actually getting,
Okay.
because they have issues with housing, custody issues, and things like that. There's ongoing battles between parents separating and stuff like that, or haven't been separated,
Okay.
and someone wants to reassert their rights as a custodial parent, and things like that. That throws the kid off.
Yes.
You can see the change in how the kid relates to the staff at the church.
Okay.
And and things like that. And I'm pretty sure they're not that aware. The parents, the guardians, are not that aware of what resources are available to them,
Mm-hmm.
and they're having to deal, maybe strictly with youth and family.
I see. Well, if that's the case, if you feel the need to do so, you can give them my cell phone number. My business card, I have it, and my cell phone number is on it. You can give them my business card, and tell them they can call me, they can text me, whatever they want to do.
Okay.
Here, I got a couple. They can call me, they can text me, and I can do my best to help them in any way they need it.
Well, the thing is the information.
Yes, and the more we talk about this, me giving you that business card, that's information, because you can hand that over to them, and they're going to go, oh, well, what's this? Let me just text her and find out. So there's always ways without going big,
Right. Just
to push information.
exactly.
Yes.
Right. Thank you so much for your time. I think we'll go ahead and end it here and see where this goes.
Okay.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate your breadth of knowledge and your passion for this. And I just appreciate you giving us your time.
Well, thank you. I enjoyed talking to you guys, and I look forward to being at the next open mic night.
Which will be the 25th. Thank you so much. And we are going to end.